Well, the deal is done. The disgraced former president, Donald Trump, has received the votes necessary from delegates at the Republican National Convention to officially become the party's nominee for president in this year's presidential election. A frightening reality, considering that he's a convicted felon who lied about election frauds, tried to overturn the election, incited a violent riot at the US Capitol, stole classified documents, and is a known fraudster, grifter, and rapist. Trump has named 39-year-old JD Vance, the Ohio senator who has aligned himself with the populist right, as his running mate at the RNC today. He said, after lengthy deliberation and thought and considering the tremendous talents of many others, I have decided that the person best suited to assume the position of Vice President of the United States is Senator JD Vance of the great state of Ohio, Trump wrote on Truth Social. Well, Vance is a venture capitalist who rocketed into the public eye with his 2016 memoir turned Netflix movie Hillbilly Elegy. He was once among Trump's conservative critics. He said, "I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him." He said that in 2016. He said that Trump was, at the time, a terrible candidate. He even worried aloud in text to a former roommate whether Trump was more of a cynical arsehole like Nixon or worse, America's Hitler. Well, since then, JD Vance has made a dramatic transformation into a MAGA power figure and close ally of the former president, who has supported some of Trump's more authoritarian impulses, like questioning the results of the 2020 election, and in a 2021 podcast interview suggesting Trump should purge civil servants from the federal government if re-elected. That at the heart of Project 2025, which JD Vance is fully behind. Well, just a year into his first term representing Ohio, Senator Vance had completed a dramatic evolution from outspoken never-Trumper to unwavering Trump loyalist and dogged defender of the ex-president's most authoritarian assertions. From the lie that the 2020 election was stolen to the legally dubious claim the president is immune from criminal prosecution, which of course now the Supreme Court has ratified. In exchange for his public displays of loyalty, Vance has been warmly embraced at Mar-a-Lago. But Vance's new identity as the MAGA militant has existed alongside and at times served to obscure another influential role that he's taken on in Washington. In certain conservative circles, Vance has emerged as the standard-bearer of the New Right, a loose movement of young, edgy, elite conservatives trying to take the ideological revolution that began under Trump, including his overt embrace of nationalism, his hardline stance on immigration, his vocal opposition of US involvement in foreign conflicts like Ukraine, and his overt skepticism towards certain liberal democratic principles in an even more radical direction. Vance has articulated much harder-line policies than Donald Trump, who says states should determine their own policies on abortion. In contrast, Vance opposes the practice even in cases of rape or incest, although he stopped short of saying there should be a national ban and has said exceptions should be allowed when the mother's life is at risk. Nevertheless, when he ran for Senate in 2022, his website carried a headline on the subject that read, "Ban Abortion." And undoubtedly, Donald Trump and JD Vance together will be pushing for a national abortion ban if they are to be elected. Well, unlike Donald Trump's more conventional Republican followers, JD Vance's new right cohort see Trump merely as the first step in a broader populist nationalist revolution that's already reshaping the American right, and if they get their way, that will soon reshape America as a whole. Vance accused Democrats of trying to transform the electorate. He's a proponent of the Great Replacement theory, spreading fear that white people will soon become the minority, Warning of an immigrant invasion, he told Fox News that Democrats have decided that they can't win re-election unless they bring a large number of new voters to replace the voters that are already here. Donald Trump repeatedly warned of an immigrant invasion on the southern border, and he was slow to condemn white supremacy throughout his presidency, actively embracing neo-Nazis at Charlottesville. President Joe Biden constantly condemns white replacement theory directly in those who spread it. Hate, he said, that through the media and politics, the internet has radicalized angry, alienated, lost and isolated individuals into falsely believing that they will be replaced. That's the word, replaced, by others, by people who don't look like them, Biden said. He said, I call on all Americans to reject the lie, and I condemn those who spread the lie for power, political gain, and for profit. I just want to quote some of the conversations that JD Vance had with Ian Ward of Politico, where he said Vance is a singularly threatening embodiment of the dangerous authoritarianism that has taken hold of the American right. To Trump's conservative allies, it makes him an increasingly appealing avatar of a post-Trump GOP and a much whispered about heir to Trump's political movement. He's absolutely going to be one of the leaders, if not the leader of our movement, said Kevin Roberts, the president of the Heritage Foundation and author of Project 2025. I'm sure he'll run for the presidency one day, said Steve Bannon, another Vance ally. Though they call themselves the New Right, they in fact view themselves as the defenders of an older definition of conservatism when the far right of the Republican Party supported high tariffs and strict limits on immigration and opposed American involvement in overseas conflicts, including, infamously, the US entrance into World War II. It's clear that JD Vance has himself been radicalized by the far right. He's actually more dangerous than Trump, as he actually holds these extreme views, whereas Trump is a populist who will literally say anything to get elected. In the opposing vice president chair is Kamala Harris, who has worked to bring people together to advance opportunity, deliver for families, and protect fundamental freedoms across the country. She's led the fight for the freedom of women to make decisions about their own bodies, the freedom to live safe from gun violence, the freedom to vote, and the freedom to drink clean water and breathe clean air. Vice President Harris was born in Oakland, California, and as the daughter of immigrants, she grew up surrounded by a diverse community and a loving extended family, quite possibly the antithesis of JD Vance's early childhood. In 2004, Vice President Harris was elected District Attorney of San Francisco, where she was a national leader in the movement for LGBTQ+ rights, officiating the first same-sex wedding after Proposition 8 was overturned. She also established the office's Environmental Justice Unit and created a groundbreaking program to provide first-time drug offenders with the opportunity to earn a high school degree and find employment. Kamala Harris was sworn in as vice president in January 2021, the first woman, the first Black American, and the first South Asian American to be elected to this position. The two VP picks could not be more different. Trump was always going to pick a white alpha male. He's scared of powerful women, especially trailblazers like Kamala Harris. Well, within 2 hours of Saturday's failed assassination attempt on Donald Trump in Pennsylvania, JD Vance wrote on Twitter that the moral responsibility for it laid with Joe Biden. He said the central premise of the Biden campaign is that Donald Trump is an authoritarian fascist who must be stopped at all costs. He said that rhetoric led directly to President Trump's attempted assassination. JD Vance with Donald Trump together clearly represent an antiquated version of America, when women and people of color play second fiddle to old white men who demand respect rather than earn it and seek power, wealth, and control. Trump, coupled with Vance, represent an even greater threat to American democracy. The choice in November couldn't be more stark. Only one party advocates for inclusivity and freedom, for human rights and women's rights. I know which America I'd rather live in. I'm Anthony Davis. You can hear me on the 5 Minute News YouTube channel, on Wednesdays co-hosting Uncovered, and on Sunday on The Weekend Show with MeidasTouch.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.